We are Southern Illinois.
Now it's down to 15. Thomas nearly lost his dribble. Has it on his near hip to his left. Sykes steals it. Sykes is going to beat everybody down. Quinn gave up on it. Sykes slams it in for two. What a defensive play by Davion Sykes.
It's time for Saluki basketball. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
Hey, we're each from different studios today as the Saluki basketball radio podcast rolls along here on the road. Appreciate our friends here at Drake. Allow me to set up here in the media room in the Knapp Center as the Saluki basketball team going through their practice here on Thursday afternoon before they ultimately make the drive to Cedar Falls. Coach Watson, he has it set up in a nice, warm, toasty studio in Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's where Coach Watson's coming from.
Actually, I'm on the hallowed grounds of Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. The former dorm room of once enjoyed quarterback Dylan Raiola. Now he's been not so famous here. He's the backup quarterback at Oregon. Because of our postgame show at Drake, I got a note from the FCC saying, make sure you blur out your background and all the graffiti that they have for Raiola's wall, or we're going to kick you guys out. So that's where I'm coming from, Saluki Nation.
I will say I'm a little disappointed in Coach Rule. I know you and him are boys, and I really thought he would have you from his studio for the Pat McAfee show. So, you know, apparently they put you in a dorm. Coach Rule gets his own studio. So
I also don't have a gold chain to wear, so I'm not allowed to go on that.
Hey, you can flash it if you want. I know you got it on right now. Well, what a win it was for SIU on the road. And Coach Watson, you know, we didn't need to belabor it because everyone knows in Saluki Nation that, and everybody understands too, Drake, no doubt, in a skid right now. 7 games in a row for them after the loss last night. But look, nobody is going to gift wrap you a game, especially when you go on the road in a venue that hasn't been kind for SIU. They're going to go to another one here on Saturday in McLeod. But just the fact that SIU was able to win a game on the road, and for SIU to win it, I don't want to, you win by 5 points. It makes it seem like, I'm almost making it seem like it was comfortable. It wasn't comfortable, especially with how Southern started the game. But once Southern got that 11-0 run and they just kept chipping away, and then when Davion Sykes got that steal dunk towards the end there at the under 4-minute media timeout, yeah, there were moments where he got nervous a little bit, but give credit to SIU for finding ways to still win the game.
Southern shot a very low percentage for the game from the field, with the exception of Damian Mayo, who we're going to cover before we move to the next segment. But so, Southern didn't play great basketball. They didn't play their best basketball overall. But what they did, they played their best at playing hard. And when you play hard, especially when you go on the road, you got a chance. And Southern, that first half, Luke, both of us we're watching it, and it's just like, Drake goes on a run, they get it to a double-digit lead, and then all of a sudden, it's like you look up and, whoa, wait a minute, it's a 5-point lead for Drake. And then pretty soon it just kind of happens. And, as you look back I go back, I had to look at the stats again just to see if I was seeing it right. But the thing that Southern did there's no stat line. Southern played hard. And even they weren't shooting the ball well. I mean, Rollins Aligbe, he had another night where first of all, I appreciate what Coach said about he's getting in his way to some degree and he's emotional, but Drake's defense was getting in his way, especially in the lane, man. I mean, they did a great job of double teaming, taking, good looks away from him. You know why? Because they look at the stat sheet and he's a really great scorer. But all that said, it didn't stop Rollins or anybody else from playing hard. They really got after it. And then the other thing that I don't think you and I have talked enough about this stat line, Southern's plus 34 in conference play in steals. And last night they led we talk about Sykes, gigantic play at 3 minutes. You don't seal the game by going up 5, but what you do is you take their leading scorer. It's something that I haven't seen happen at the college level, man. I don't know when, and usually it's a really low level, but Jalen Quinn's a terrific player, and he's a 20-point-a-game scorer, and they can really count on him. Okay, and he's a tough guard for SIU. But with that steal at the 3:10 mark, I can't remember the last time I saw a person stop, throw their hands up, and let the other guy go dunk the ball. Now, that was the sign of breaking a team's will. And when your leading scorer throws their hands up, and you and I have seen it many times this season, Southern may give up a live ball turnover. And man, whether it's Sykes or Haynes or whoever comes from behind and smacks that ball, off the rim, or at least tries, okay? Or even maybe you don't really want to give the and one. We've seen that out of this Southern team. But last night, Southern just, in my opinion, they just outfought the Drake Bulldogs. Two teams that are playing for the 8-9. It's going to really come down to who's wearing the white jersey, but give Southern that credit. And those live turnover steals, man, those are a big factor for Southern being able to get away in that game.
And look, we'll get into the results of the league too. And even though I know Coach Watson loves to make everything a finality, he's always big on finality, but it's not finality. Now it's most likely going to be 8-9 game for both these teams, but there is still a path for Southern Illinois to improve their seed line here down the stretch with the games that they have and upcoming for them. So that's not all finalized, but no doubt it won't be a surprise if these are two teams that are playing each other again here very shortly. Damian Mayo Jr., what a game for him last night to be able to knock down so many key threes, especially early on in the game. He finished 5 of 6 from 3, 22 points. And the biggest note, I think, and I was talking with Coach Hawk and Coach Nagy this morning at breakfast, the biggest thing for him is remembering, look, emotions in games happen. And there's always going to be chatter from an opposing bench, especially when you're in front of the bench. And things are going to be said. Not everything is going to be caught by the officials. But if you retaliate, it's most likely going to get caught. And for Damian, he said something to the Drake bench, who the Drake bench was getting on him during the game. But unfortunately for Damian, he couldn't control his emotions, and he got teed up, and it cost him big time because he ends up fouling out of the game. And he is a guy that is so important, and thankfully SIU was able to survive it in the final 2 minutes plus when he got out. But Damian's way too important for this team, Coach Watson, to be picking up extra fouls that can be controlled, especially when it just comes down to controlling your emotions in the heat of the moment. Because, like I said, odds are, more times than not, it's going to be the guy who retaliates. It's going to get banged. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and the smart thing he did coming out of that huddle situation where they were determining how many free throws and how to administer the play, he went and talked to the administering official and to a really good crew, and the Drake people said the same thing. I mean, that game had nothing to, the officials were outstanding in that game, and anytime you had Crenshaw's on a game, you've just got a great game coming. But Damian was smart in that spot. The other area where, as well as he played, and we're going to get into his efficiency versus Jalen Quinn's efficiency in a second, but his fourth foul underneath the goal on Federico, where in that situation on the mismatch, knowing you've got 3 fouls and you're having that kind of an offensive night where it's like, man, that dude was in a special place last night, at a place where I've seen special players, NBA players for SIU go in there and not have special nights. It's just, I'm not saying it's haunted, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. But he can't get that foul either, especially after, he gave one away on the sideline. But let's get into the efficiency of Damian. What is so impressive about his game, 22 points on 10 field goal attempts. Now, that is getting the job done. Jalen Quinn, terrific player, 20 points a game. He's going to get him he's going to get 20 every night he goes out, most likely. Okay. 23 points, really impressive on 21 shots. So who was guarding Jalen Quinn a big part of the night? Damian Mayo. And the thing that I liked about Mayo in the second half, as soon as, we talked about Southern Drake's post trapping and really causing problems for Southern to score in the lane. It was very congested. And whether it was Mayman talking to us or Coach Nagy talking to you pregame, they knew Drake was either going to play a man-to-man, backed in like a zone or straight-up zone, either way, to force Southern to make shots from the perimeter. And it was effective in the first half. In the second half, Mayo, it was obvious right away. Catch the ball, drop his shoulder. He wasn't getting double-teamed. Turn the corner, get to the lane. And it really was effective, and it really hurt Drake's darn good defense. You know, the team that's not known for their defense, but it was good for the first 20 minutes. That was another area that was very impressive. I thought the really key important decision for the game was the game plan of Southern by not switching guards on ball screens, where Southern does that mainly. They do it a lot of times with all 5 players. Last night it was mano a mano, as Q told us, man on man, and they got through. You know, the guards were getting through ball screen stuff. They were getting through. They were picking up their guy. Never did a, not that I remember, maybe Shetler might have got one off a dribble because he's capable of doing it. But they weren't able to hurt Southern by not switching. And it didn't allow Quinn to get going on Q. And Q would have been in big time foul trouble had they switched, because Drake knew it. They expected it. They were going to take Quinn down that left side because he's a left-hander and just power up. And if Q got handsy and didn't give the shot away, he was going to be in foul trouble. And those 15 points were so valuable. When you're scoring at just under a point of possession, you need all your scores in the game. And right now, Southern's got 7 guys and get them points. Q at Damian and Rollins got to get going. He will, but Southern's bench has got to help him, man. They got to help him. They got to help him with those defenses, because it's not so much Rollins getting in his way. That defense is getting in his way, and Southern's got to figure that out before their next one.
Kelleran House, outstanding. He was our player of the game, which, again, Damian Mayo was right up there, too, and the impact that he had. Q just impacting so many different areas of this team. And by the way, Damian Mayo, it was his 3rd time in his career that he was named the KenPom game MVP, and no doubt very deserving with his performance last night. Q as well, 15 points for him. Wasn't really efficient when you look at from his shooting numbers. He was 1 for 6 from 2, 2 for 8 from 3, and he wasn't perfect at the line, 7 of 12. And for him, he's a guy that is no doubt wanting to be at that 10 of 12, 11 of 12 mark in the game. But he still impacted the game in so many ways, Coach Watson, and also made you sweat like no other postgame because you were worried that the FCC was going to shut us down.
Apparently only my headset gets the beeping when there's an FCC problem, because mine was beeping like crazy. But man, what a cool personality guy. How about his 5 assists or 2 turnovers? That's an area also where he impacted the game kind of quietly. 5 assists in that game where Southern didn't make a lot of field goals overall, but Q is a major point. What I love to see him grow as a young man. And, obviously he's more comfortable with us than when we started this thing back in, even the fall and summer with you, but certainly when the season started in November. But just to see him grow within the program and just how important he is to him. And then his ability, like he was talking about Jaheim Weber and just how impactful Jaheim's been in the last couple of games, but certainly in the game last night. Jaheim's really getting more comfortable in big opportunities for a young guy. And you can just hear it in his voice. It's just like he really, really appreciates his teammates.
Big win for SIU, 66-61 on the road against the Drake Bulldogs. We're going to keep our podcast a little bit short this week, just with us both being on the road. But we're still going to go through the Missouri Valley Conference scores here from last night on Wednesday. Valpo gets a huge win, Coach Watson, 79-72 over the Bradley Braves. Now, what that kind of means for Southern is it makes it a little bit harder for SIU to get out of the 8 line, just because Valpo is probably the team that if you finish in a tie with, you split the regular season series, it ultimately, I believe, goes to net as that tiebreaker, and the Salukis are in a much better net position than what Valpo has been lately. But, man, Valpo gets a signature win for Coach Powell, again at home. Phenomenal. That's going to be a team that, look, if they don't find a way to sneak in the Friday, because it's still a possibility for them, that's a team that nobody is going to want to see in St. Louis. And Coach Powell's group just continuing to play at a really, really high level. And they're able to overcome Alex Huberts making 6 threes in the game, too.
Everybody in the league, and I shouldn't, I'm sorry for using the word everybody, but most teams in the league are still playing numbers, like 9, 10 guys, but the top 5, 6 guys, their minutes are really going up. Valpo's doing the same thing, but they played 11 guys last night against Drake. And you're no longer against Bradley. And you're no longer getting participation minutes. Now, the bench minutes are shorter, and they're in single digits a lot. But last night, Valpo had 5 of their guys off the bench score. And I find that to be very impressive. I mean, Roger Powell has a lot of confidence in playing a lot of guys, and he's getting terrific production. The one guy that I keep watching he's one of the first, when I look at a Valpo box score, one of the first guys I look at is McNair, a guy that's comes off the bench, started a little bit, but he came off last night, 17 minutes, 4 points, but I think he's a huge factor in giving them a calming force in late game possessions.
Big win for the Valpo Beacons at home against the Bradley Braves. Take it to Northern Iowa, who we're going to see here this weekend on Saturday. Trey Campbell, which we didn't talk about in our opening, he's going to join us on the podcast here in a matter of moments. Just a big-time player for Northern Iowa this year. 81-60 is the final, and you look at that, Coach Watson, and you go, okay, man, that's a game that they just thumped the Sycamores, and it wasn't close. Couldn't be further from the truth. This was a 55-54 game with 8 minutes to go in Terre Haute, and UNI ends the game on a 26-6 run to win the game by 21. They were just outstanding in the final 8 minutes.
I just literally looked up the game flow that the ESPN system gives you right before you start saying that. And like my eyes got big. It's like, whoa, that thing got tight in the middle of the second half. And it's cliche. Anybody can beat anybody. No, not really. Yes, really. Really. Anybody in this league, because of the skill level we've been talking about for nearly 4 months now, the skill level in this league gives you a chance. When you get in the three-point line, I mean, you saw how important it was to Southern last night in Des Moines to make some threes and get those extra point opportunities per possession. But UNI is starting to find themselves, man. They are kind of like that cartoon where you hear that song coming, where here comes the cavalry, and whatever. But as you point out earlier, and you say it all the time, Terre Haute is not an easy place to play either.
No, it's not. And to go on the road, and especially in a close game, they were honoring the 2011 team that made the NCAA tournament, which is hard to believe that's the last team in Terre Haute to go to the NCAA tournament, and that was Coach Lansing's first year there in Terre Haute. Him and his team were honored. Of course, Jake Odom, a terrific player on that team as well, and on Coach Graves' staff. So the Sycamores get beat at home against Northern Iowa. And you want to talk about a team finding themselves and has found themselves and has stayed finding themselves. It's UIC. They go on the road and just pound Evansville 84-46. And to me, it's a game that just speaks volumes of what Rob Eson has done this year. UIC now 16-12, 11-6. It's even hard to even think that this was a team that was 0-4 in the league to start off, and everyone had them buried. And everybody in Chicago is like, oh, wait till we get Elijah Crawford back. And then all of a sudden he comes back, and, of course, all the pieces. It's much more than just Elijah Crawford, but man, this was an outstanding effort for them last night. Josiah Hammond's double digits off the bench. Ahmad Henderson, double digits off the bench. And then Andy Johnson, 5 of 5 from 3 for 17 points. Hemingway did play for Evansville. Of course, he had that busted nose that he got towards the end, which is good for them because they're already extremely shorthanded in terms of their numbers, as Connor Turnbull didn't play again for Evansville. But to me, the game says way more about UIC, Coach Watson, and where they're at on the season. And I'm telling you, man, I know you are kind of the old school way of thinking if you win the league, you should be the coach of the year. And I think Casey Alexander, it's deserving. We talked about that on our last podcast. If UIC can finish second, and if they can finish the year strong, which right now they're tied for second, but if Rob Eson takes them from 0-4 to start the league to finishing second, telling you, I think he's going to get some votes for Coach of the Year and deserves them too for the job he's done.
He's done a terrific job. And when I talked to some of my friends in the coaching profession, I talked to one this morning, as a matter of fact. I said, hey, man, you better turn on some UIC clips and see what that guy's doing, because he's, in the term the right way, whatever that really means, it sure looks to me like he's doing it the right way. The thing that I like about UIC, and it showed up last night in a lopsided Evansville score, that that when the predictors, like the ESPN predictors in all sports, it basically had the game over at halftime. And that's a real early time for them to be putting high 90 numbers up. But what I'm impressed with the UIC is that it's a very consistent production. The rebounders are rebounding at the kind of their average rate. their scorers are scoring. There's no weird numbers of 40 or 50 points or 30 points. It's the teens and so forth. In a game like that for UIC, they had the advantage to play their bench good minutes, like strong teens, like 19, 17 down the line, and their starters were in the 21, 22, because you don't want to disrupt your rhythm, in those games. We've been fortunate a couple of times in my time at Southern where we had really good teams this time of year. We were going to win the league. With Matt Painter, we won the league at this time of the year with 3-4 games to go, and you can't stop playing your guys because your best day of practice right now is going to be, for Southern, it was Wednesday night. That was their best practice of the week. It's full tilt, all out. You get situations, you're working on everything you want to work on in October and November, and you're doing it in the game. And so you get about 2 of those. Last week it was 3 a week, and UIC just keeps playing a level of consistency as a team and as individuals that tells you, they are going to be tough to deal with in the Lou.
Well, Illinois State may be tough to deal with here down the stretch. They were without Chase Walker last night and win 78-61, and it really was a game, Coach Watson, just following along once we got off the air, wasn't really close. Murray didn't have much of a chance to really pull back within this game and keep it close in Bloomington Normal. Tyreek Coleman, another fantastic freshman, 10 of 16 from the field, 22 points for him. Landon Wolf had 12 points. Ty Pence was big off the bench. He knocks down 3 threes to make up his 15 points. But Illinois State dominates Illinois State 78-61, which we're going to get to the standings here in a matter of moments. That makes it a very interesting stretch run here for this. And it also really helps, of course, Belmont as well, just more separation from a team that could possibly catch them, which right now Belmont is all but sealed. I believe now they've at least sealed a tie, a shared championship. With one more win, they'll get an outright championship.
One stat that didn't make a lot of sense, but I guess it can in any given day. Illinois State had 17 turnovers in that game. They shot a very nice percentage, both from 2 and from 3. And again, I know it sounds like we've talked a lot about our relationship with Illinois State and that stuff. I'm just being a fan now, but you just wonder how Coleman coming off the bench, how that's going to affect them. Right now, locker rooms, I think, are really interesting. Obviously, because of the NIL and people thinking about, I had a conversation with a young coach also this morning and talking about a guy on his team, and he's a senior, and he thinks his next move is where he plays professional basketball. And I explained to this young coach, explained to this kid, his next move is what he does in the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, because the people in Europe, they're going to pay him. They're not dumb like the people in the United States. They have metrics. They understand value of people. Therefore, there's a lot of reasons why coaches are coaching the heck out of those locker rooms, getting people to stay in the present moment. Whether, obviously, whether you're going to use your degree to make a bunch of money or the basketball to make some money occasionally, but you just never know, man. You never know. When I look at these box scores, you think, man, that guy's coming off the bench now, and how that's playing with his agent, because everybody's got an agent, and you got to wonder just where that's out. Just that's a tough job for coaches because they're dealing with that on a daily basis. But all that said, that was a big win. My biggest question was Doug Collins in the house? I bet he was, as well as they scored that ball.
Illinois State sweeps Murray State, which now as we get into the league standings, Coach Watson, that's what makes this thing, really jumbled here down the stretch. Again, Belmont, they are up 3 games with 3 games left. So they clinched a share of the Missouri Valley Championship, even if they lost all 3 games. But the thing is, they just got to win 1 game here to not just win the outright title, but also clinch the 1 seed, if I have my math correct, at 14-3 right now in the league. UIC and Bradley right behind them, 3 games, tied in the 2 spot as UIC and the Bradley Braves. They're at 11-6. This is where the standings get very interesting, because from 2 all the way down to 6, only separated by 1 game. Which, again, we told you, and we've been saying since we've been doing this podcast, Coach Watson, there is going to be a logjam, and you can start to see it possibly form. Murray State, they're a half game behind Bradley right now in that 2 spot. They're 11-7. They're 1 game ahead of Illinois State. But what's making Murray State nervous now is Illinois State and UNI swept them So the two teams that are right behind them and have potential to either tie them or get in a three-way tie, if that happens for Murray, that they're going to be that odd team out when it comes to not being able to get to Friday, which is amazing to think that that's even a possibility. But that's why those standings right now are very critical. Why this game Saturday for UNI is massive. Illinois State and UNI still play each other. That game will be in Cedar Falls as well. So, one of those teams is going to get a loss for sure in that jam. Valpo with the win. They get a little bit closer. Again, they're only one game back of that two-way tie with Illinois State UNI, 2 games back of Murray with 3 to go. Keep in mind, Valpo, they host Drake. They still got to go to UIC, and they got to go to Evansville, too, to end the year. So they have 2 road games in their final 3 games. And then you have Southern right at 7-10, Drake behind them 6-12, Indiana State at 3-14-10, and Evansville 2-14. Virtually, you really have 9, 10, and 11 are pretty much somewhat locked. Now, with how many games are left, Southern and Drake could still flip in the 8-9 spot. But, man, it's going to be crazy, Coach Watson, here down the stretch with these games, and I am really intrigued to see who gets the Friday and who's got to start on Thursday. Murray, Illinois State, and Northern Iowa, not all 3 are going to be on Friday. Or start on Friday, I should say. All 3 may eventually get the Friday and play, but one of those 3 teams is going to be on Thursday.
There's no doubt about it. And, like, again, in Murray's case, Murray, they've got Evansville at home, and that's a major wounded animal that with no depth. Crazy things happen. I can't really see anything that crazy happening. But then, they finish up
At Bradley.
And Bradley has got a lot to play for, and
Yes.
a contrasting style of play, especially up in Peoria. But, there again, it wouldn't surprise me if Murray goes to Bradley and wins, just how things go. But a lot of fun. And it, again, for the millionth time, it's just because we have such good coaches and such outstanding talent that we can talk like this, and there's only a few other leagues in the country that can say stuff like this. Most leagues, I mean, they know they won't say it because they want to be good to their league and good to their opponents. But most leagues in the 20s, they're looking at right now saying those guys aren't any good. They don't have any good players. This league's loaded with them.
That's a look around the Missouri Valley Conference standings, and now the score, looking at the schedule, should say, for Saturday. Valpo at UIC. Evansville will be at Murray State. SIU, of course, at Northern Iowa. Illinois State at Bradley. Big rivalry game there. And Indiana State will be on the road at Belmont. Again, Belmont 1 win away. And they're at home, a chance to potentially clinch the Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship for them. All right, let's get to Trey Campbell, who is our guest here on the podcast. He is no doubt and should probably just go in UNI's Hall of Fame just because he has stayed year after year in Cedar Falls. Tremendous young man we had the opportunity to catch up with today after their big win in Terre Haute just last night. We talk about all the time Saluki Nation wanting to promote great players in this league, and one of them joins us now for Northern Iowa. He's fun to watch when he's not going up against the Salukis, but he'll be going up against the Dogs here this weekend on Saturday in McLeod. It's none other than Trey Campbell. Trey, appreciate the time, man. Congrats on the win in Terre Haute. Winning on the road in this league is so hard. Man, but you guys are playing at a high level. How has this recent stretch just been for you and the team, and especially coming off a place in Terre Haute, which is never easy to win?
Thank you. I mean, it's been great. This season we've had our ups and downs with our team. I'm glad, right? Like towards the end of it, we're ending it off strong. We're on a little streak here, but we got to keep them going.
Trey, one of the big things that Coach Watson and I talk about all the time when we go throughout the year is just it's great to see guys get rewarded who stick with the program, because you just don't see it a lot in today's college basketball. You, of course, even being a local kid, they're from Cedar Falls. I know this is a loaded question. You've probably been asked this question multiple times, but what has it meant to wear that purple uniform and to represent UNI for as long as you've had, and growing up, I'm sure, going to many Panther games?
I mean, it means a lot. Like you said, just growing up, I was throughout high school and stuff. I was always at the game. So, I mean, it's crazy to think that I'm on the floor and I'm one of the main guys for the team now. But I mean, it just means a lot being able to stay here, play in front of my family, and all the relationships I've made, like with the guys who came in and out of this program. Just means a lot.
Trey, if you had the opportunity for one of two future careers, one being the mayor of Cedar Falls or being the head coach at Northern Iowa with that kinesiology degree, which would you lean toward? Which one has more power in that city right now?
I'd probably go ahead coach at UNI.
Pays better than the mayor, I
Yeah.
think. That's for sure.
Does it?
You know,
Does it?
yeah,
So definitely that one.
absolutely it does. One
Okay.
thing that really impressed me in reading your bio is your incredible high school success as a three-star athlete and 4-year letterman in football. I mean, you lettered on the football team as a freshman in high school at Cedar Falls High School, and then you went on and you had 8 medals in the state track meet throughout your career. How important what were those activities, football and track, two sports you've got to be flat tough, that's helped you become the college basketball player you are today?
I mean, both aspects of the football, just physicality, just kind of helped me bring that over to the basketball side, and then with track, just being fast, being quick, just having that little quick twitch, kind of just all of that kind of puts into my game. I mean, I wouldn't take it back for the world. If I could do it again, I would play more sports if I could. I encourage a lot more people to be a multi-sport athlete. It really brings the best out of you. You get different perspectives on things. And yeah.
Trey, when you go through and when you finally know, hey, basketball is going to be your sport in terms of a Division I prospect, when was that kind of time for you that you knew, hey, I think basketball is going to be my avenue? And has basketball always kind of been your number one love when it comes to your sports?
Yeah, it has been. I mean, basketball, I could say, is the one sport that I've played since I was probably 5 years old or so, like consistently, never stopped playing at all. So I would say from the beginning, really, but my choice was really made through in the middle of high school, somewhere around then. But yeah, I feel like it's always kind of been made for me.
Trey, as we have described, what's so awesome about being in this league and what has been for a while is to see guys like you come in as freshmen, grow, stay, and mature into tremendous players and young men like you are now. But you always need those guys that you look up to when you first get into college. And when you're a freshman, when all of that big-eyed is brand new, there's some senior leaders that you really lean on or veteran players. Who were some of those guys for you that you are really thankful for early on in your time at UNI that you relied on, that now tables have turned and you're one of those guys for some of the young pieces on your team currently?
I would say Bowen Bourne. When I got here, me and him worked out a lot. Bowen, Nate Heisey, who's at Iowa State now, when he was here, and obviously Titan Anderson. I would say pretty much those three. Obviously, a lot of others, but those are the first three that come to mind.
Titan, of course, in another great example of just a player that it feels like we got to know, and he was on our podcast a year ago and talking to him how great of a guy he was. But in terms of just how hard he played, what he brought to the floor, it just seemed like it was unlike any other guy in this league, Trey. What was he like day to day that you really tried to pinpoint to make part of your game, whether it was your work ethic, whether it was your preparation? Like, what was it about Titan that you really latched on to that you learned from him?
It's just like his resilience. Practice day in, day out. Like, you were never stopping what he was doing. Like, people in games, they would double team him, they would guard him this way, make him go this way, but it never really stopped him, and never it really stayed poised, and he always affected the game. So I really just say his relentless, and obviously just his mentality of wanting it more than everyone else did.
We're going into round 2, Salukis versus the Northern Iowa Panthers, January 28th. You guys came to Banterra Center, and just to give full disclosure, Luke and I are Salukis. We're part of Saluki Nation. We'll love nothing more to see the Salukis go 20-0 in the league. But on that night, in the second half, you went to the floor, and it scared the daylights out of Luke and I. Can you describe that play when you went down, and then you set the rest of that game after that? And then and when we found out that next game that you played, I don't think there's anybody other than maybe your fan base is more relieved than maybe the two guys you're visiting with right now.
Yeah, it was a little strange. I came off that I think it was a pick and roll, and I slipped a little bit, and I kind of caught my hammy. It didn't really feel right. So when I was going up and down the court again, it still just wasn't feeling right. And I told my coach, and he didn't want to take any chances, so I sat down to rest for that.
Well, we're glad you're back, partner. I mean, we mean that with full sincerity, and so does Saluki Nation. Just glad to have all players back. No one wants to see anyone get hurt, but especially in your case, a 4-year guy. It's just so unique in this era. A guy that's joined your team this year came from Concordia, alma mater of my son-in-law, actually in Nebraska. Tristan Smith. It seems like it's no coincidence that you guys have really found yourself since he's gotten back onto the court with you guys. What does he bring to your team?
He kind of brings that tie element that I was talking about, that toughness and just relentlessness that you're not going to stop him from getting to where he wants to get to, whether that's a shot or crashing the boards for offensive rebound. He kind of brings that energy, strong, tough mentality, and that's what we need for our team.
Trey, when you think about what you bring, as we were kind of talking about beforehand, Coach Jake, when I asked him about you a month ago, of course, he can go so many different basketball directions, but he's just like, you know what, Luke, like Trey is a funny dude. We don't get the opportunity to be around you at practice and to be around your program day to day. But for those that don't get that opportunity like us, who is Trey Campbell, man? Who are you away from basketball when you get opportunities? Just talk to your teammates in the locker room when you're on the road. How would you describe your personality and yourself?
I mean, overall, I'd say I'm a good dude, in the locker room, I can be funny here and there. I mean, you kind of just really got to get to know me. Just whenever the moment's right, I feel like I can take it there. I really don't try to press it, but for the most part, I stay calm. I stay to myself, but obviously, I like to have fun with my friends.
Now, like who's the easiest guy on your team to get on? Like who's a guy that like, yeah, I can get on him anytime. Make a joke, make a good laugh, just get everybody going. Like who's the easy target on your team, Trey?
Definitely Max. Max Wise. He's a pretty easy one to get. Yeah.
Now, why do you say Max? What makes it so easy for Max? Like if you got to coach him, like what makes it easy for Max for you?
He's just very outgoing. So like whatever like I say, like everyone kind of gets a little laugh at it because he'll probably have a funny reaction towards it, whatever it is. He's a very outgoing person, very talkative.
Well, another guy that's very outgoing is your head coach. I mean, Coach Jacobson, the veteran, the dean of the league. It's probably one of those things again that you get asked a ton, Trey, but I think it's pretty easy with how Coach Jake is that it's easy to see the type of man he is and how he does coach you. I don't think we have to be there every day to really know how he's like because of how transparent he is in his interviews. But what's something that you're most appreciative of being a player underneath him that maybe isn't as apparent to those on the outside, even though Coach Jake obviously is a very forthcoming guy?
I mean, he's very relatable. Obviously, he played basketball, but just being that part of like when say we mess up or something, like we can come over him and like he says like just like I get it, like move on. Like he kind of brings that calm presence to you of like just calm down, move on to the next. That really helps us. That really helps our team. That's what we need from here on out. And yeah, it's just that presence of he kind of just he can flip that switch where if you need to be calmed down, he can calm you down. But if you need that little pump up, like he can flip that switch and he can get you going as well.
Trey, you guys have a championship caliber program, and coach has been the driving force of that the last 20 plus years, both as certainly the head coach, but even with Coach McDermott before then. I've known him for a long time and had the pleasure and the displeasure competing against those guys. This time of year with 1 week to go, first of all, I'm going to ask you from, just with a week left of the regular season, and then we're promised one more game after that in the conference tournament, and nothing else is promised again in your college career. What does that mean to you as a senior going in this last week? Where's your mindset at this point right now?
I mean, it means a lot. Obviously, this is my last couple games of my college career. Um, I mean, my mindset's obviously to win them. Keep winning, win as much as we can, go as far as possible, obviously. But you know, you got to take that one game at a time. Um, I guess I haven't really thought too much on being done or being done with my college career, so I'm kind of just taking it day by day. But so yeah, I mean, obviously it's exciting and scary at the same time, but it is what it is.
You have a combination of a veteran team and you got a few new pieces as well. How important is your voice with what you guys, we all want to get the NCAA tournament, and there's, basically one route for nearly everyone. There's a chance maybe for Belmont to do something special, possibly if they don't win the tournament. But for you guys, what is your message to your team, again, with these last couple of games left of regular season going into St. Louis, about where their minds got to be in the terms of, Panther basketball?
Just all it's got to be about is Panther basketball. It's got to be about the guy next to you, your teammates, your seniors. Obviously, no one's gonna let us win. No one's gonna let us do what we want to do. So we just got to go out there and take it, and that's that mentality we kind of have to have is just go out there and take it for the guy next to us.
Trey, it was an awesome day that you guys were able to have at McLeod to honor AJ Green. Was able to get his number rightly deserved into the rafters. Of course, AJ also a local product there in Cedar Falls. How important has AJ been just in terms of a mark for you as a young guy being there in Cedar Falls to now play at the same program, and what it meant for you guys to put on the show, have a great result when his number was able to go up into the rafters?
I mean, it's good. Like I said, in high school, I was watching him. I never really got the chance to play with him. He was always leaving right as I got there. Um, but I mean, it means a lot. Everyone around the world has seen what he did and knows what he can do, and he definitely deserved it. And we're just happy we were able to get the job done on his special day.
Okay, now as you get here down the stretch of the season, as Coach Watson said, I think what has made you guys so good throughout the years is your game by game approach, Trey. And you're like I said, you're a veteran in this league. What has been working well for you guys and UNI that you guys need to keep stacking here, not just for Saturday against Southern Illinois, but keep doing as you go throughout the rest of the season to set yourselves up well for Arch Madness here, which is right around the corner?
Just our defense and our physicality. That's the main thing. Everything else will fall into place. We feel like our offense and shots. I mean, they'll fall. We just gotta stay down to the little things, just rebounding, defense, physicality, and we feel like we can head in on those, and they could take us pretty far.
When you're a competitor, man, sometimes it's hard to always look and maybe give credit elsewhere because you always look at things from an internal perspective when you're going throughout your year. But you, as one of the best players in this league, Trey, to fans who have been around this league, that follow this league for a while, yes, a lot of players have come and go. It has changed. But when you look at the numbers, when you look at the analytics, when you look and see what guys like you are doing, this league is still as good as it once was. And to me, that's something we try to communicate a ton. For you as a player, how would you describe the competitive nature within this league, the caliber of players that you have to go up against night in, night out, and what it means to play in that type of league?
Yeah, I mean, this league's crazy. You can lose on any given night, no matter who the team is. It doesn't matter if you're top of the league, bottom of the league. Like, it really doesn't matter, and that's kind of the fun. That's kind of the fun part because you got to bring it every day. There's no easy ones. No one's gonna let you win. Like, if you're not bringing it, you're gonna get punked, and that's how I kind of feel playing in this league, and I feel like that's what everyone needs to know looking into this league. Like, even though we're not necessarily one of the top leagues in the nation. Like there's still guys in here that are going to play hard, and like if you're not strapped up, like you can get messed up. So yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and that is shown. And hey, when you're top 10 in the country, man, in a league, that's really impressive, because there's a lot of other leagues that wish they could be anywhere near your mark. And a big reason for that, Trey, is you and how UNI has played here, of course, throughout the years, making the league have such a great reputation. Trey, we appreciate the time, man, hopping on. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday. We're probably not going to enjoy the 40 minutes watching you play against us, because how good you have been against the Salukis, but we appreciate the time, man, and wish you a healthy end here to the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Trey Campbell. I can tell, you can see that sense of humor that he's got. Just doesn't want to quite show it out to Saluki Radio, but that's okay. We get that going through. Coach Watson, just like we talked about with Drake, you look at going to Cedar Falls. Since McLeod Center is open, only 2 wins for SIU. You can even go all the way back to 2000, only 4 total wins in Cedar Falls. Coach Henson's team won back-to-back games in Cedar Falls in 2017 and 18. That season, they won December 28th, 56-53. The next year they went back, they won 58-51 to win 2 straight games in Cedar Falls. But since then, 5 straight losses at McLeod Center. Ironically, the last time we were there, this is the most points Southern ever scored in McLeod Center, and they got beat by 11. That run, with the 2 major runs, the run at the end of the first half and the run to start the second half, Southern went on a big run themselves late to make it look much closer. But again, much different UNI team than the one that Saluki fans saw in person back in Banterra Center, and no doubt Tristan Smith is a big reason for that. But it's like I told you post-game, Coach Watson, if the Salukis go on the road and they can beat Northern Iowa, that is the ultimate gauge to Saluki Nation and the fans, that if you need any sort of confidence going into St. Louis, if you can go to McLeod and get a win, that's a great sign for SIU.
I'm glad the Valley Tournament's not the McLeod Center, that's for sure. Your point is well taken. What's interesting about the Jacobson era, 20 years, he's been through 4 different programs with Chris Lowry and Barry Henson and Brian Mullins and now Scott Nagy. Different styles of play, all 4 of them. Similar in some respects, but with Northern Iowa, it's the same. It's just like now. They're scoring in league play. They're scoring 67.8 points a game in 63 possessions. They're just so, he plays the numbers so smart and efficiency. And a big part of what Trey has said to us, Jake has said to us, defensive rebounding is such a big key for them. They just don't let you get second chances. They don't let you give live ball stuff. They want to take care of the ball. That's an area where they really came up short in the Banterra Center with 17 turnovers. That's something I got a feeling, unless Southern can really turn that steal stat on, as they have, it'll be tough to get them to turn over. Their opponents are only getting 62.8 points a game. On the flip side, Southern overall, we're scoring at 69.4 points, giving up 68.9, just about even in 70 possessions. So Northern Iowa, they play on a slim margin. They're like a really good, they're like the grocery stores. They just give a bunch of volume on slim margins and they make $1 million. And it's a really smart way of playing. They're tough, as Trey said, physicality, being tough, doing the little things, guarding well, rebounding well. That's what you're going to get out of Northern Iowa.
5 o'clock Central Tip on Saturday from McLeod Center. Our pregame coverage will start at 4 o'clock. Big thanks to Trey Campbell for taking time to join us. Again, thanks to Drake for finding a spot for yours truly to host this podcast here, and for Coach Watson. Even though Coach Rule could not give him his studio there in Lincoln, we'll try to get that the next time he is back around, especially we'll get you on the Saluki Football Podcast when you go down and you make that yearly trip to good old Lincoln, Nebraska for the games. But for the Hall of Famer Rodney Watson, I am Luke Martin. We'll talk to you Saturday, Saluki Nation from Cedar Falls. Go Dogs.
This has been Saluki Royalty, the official podcast for Saluki Athletics. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review however you listen. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Saluki Sports Network.